40 or 50 miles.
Hello everyone, and welcome back. I was out here for a couple hours yesterday with my grandson Xander. I'm out here again this morning, and I'm just running some of these boards that I have milled myself through the planer and getting them smoothed down. I'm going to do a series of little dovetail boxes out of the different woods. I just kind of want to do all of them the same and then finish all of them. I'm not sure, like some of these I'm probably going to have to put some stain on, where others I won't. And I just want to do them all the same so we can take a look at the different types of wood and what it would look like in a little dovetail box. Another reason I want to do this is because I want more practice with the dovetail jig. I was out here, I don't know, a week and a half ago maybe, and I was doing a video on making a dovetail box. And I got this far along in the project, and so I had my sides done and one of the ends. I was going to do the other end, and I just wanted to see how it fit together, and I used the wrong bit in the router to do the pins and versus the tails. So anyway, it didn't work at all, so I said I'm done. That was a wasted video that won't get published, and now I'm out here doing it again, but I'm going to do it on a larger scale. I want to do a whole bunch of different boxes. So far I've milled, this here is wild black cherry, this is Norway maple, walnut, this is red oak, birch, this is pine right here, but it's this blue pine. That's what some people call it. It's got that unique blue coloring, and that's actually it's actually like the beginning of rot, but it's not really rot. It doesn't affect the wood at all. But these beetles come in and they kill the tree, and there's this whole process that goes on with I don't know what it was, enzymes. I was reading about it yesterday and it was like, well, I'll never really be able to explain that. Anyway, this is stuff that I've milled here too from a dead tree that came down. This is bur oak, and I'm just about to run this through the planer right now. This is something I did not mill myself. This is aromatic cedar. We actually picked this up out in western Minnesota. We just went and picked this up right around Thanksgiving is when I went out and got it. This has been cut down for a couple years, so it's good and dry. I sometimes run, when I want to get a large quantity of that, I'll run all the way down to Kentucky and get a 4 foot by 4 foot like cube of it that's 8 or 9 feet long, and they put it in the trailer and I can bring it back up here. But this always has some really pretty colors. You guys see my dad do a lot of stuff with this, so I want to make a box out of this also. We got 5 to 10 inches of snow coming today. It's already snowing hard down in the Twin Cities. I think we're only going to get 4 or 5 up here. I live up here. But it's snowing like crazy down there, and it should be here in about an hour. Now I think I'm going to run this aromatic cedar through the planer. And right now I'm only going down to 3/4 of an inch. Then I'm going to run them through the planer down to 1/2 of an inch, but you should only take off so much wood each day, kind of, and then let it get kind of acclimated. Don't really have to worry much about the aromatic cedar. That stuff you can work with, I swear, almost when it's wet lumber. This stuff is real easy to work with. I'm going to go ahead and get all the edges cleaned up on these, and then we'll come back, because that's going to take me a little bit of time here. And I don't know, some of these, it's so pretty when it has the live edge on it, but I don't need it for what I'm doing in this project. I have all the edges cleaned up now, and like some of this, I don't know if that's going to be a big enough piece of walnut. I have more of all of this kind of wood back behind the shed, so I can plane more of it down. So now I'm just going to run it all through the planer and get it down to 1/2 inch thick. All the stuff from the planer goes into this garbage can here, and I need to go dump this out. And I always just dump it in with the chickens or the turkeys or the ducks, and they just love it as bedding. have them all planed down to a 1/2 inch thick. Now it's just about 12 o'clock. It's been about an hour and a half, and now the snowflakes are just starting to fall here. I'm going to run up and get some lunch. I'll be back in a little while. Well, now I'm just trying to lay this out so I can cut the board, so I can cut these side pieces and still have a big enough piece to do the top. I don't worry about the bottom. I'm going to do that in like a 1/4 inch long plywood that fits up in there. But with the mini dovetail jig, you want to do your boards in like a 1/2 inch and an 1/8. So like these are 2 5/8. The next thing I would do is 3 1/8. It just works out better when you start doing the pins and the tails. So I was just trying to think, it's like I like this size, it's nice and cute, but once I get the bottom put in there and then a top that I think I'll go over the whole entire top and then just have it recessed down in a little bit and go over, that only leaves about this much room inside the box. If I went 3 1/8, then I would have a little bit more room. So that's just what I'm trying to figure out here. And then I'll cut these and then run them through the table saw and just get everything to the right size. No, looking at that, I think that 3 1/8 is too tall. I think I have to go back down and do the 2 5/8. Well, there we go. I got one set cut. Now I'm just going to cut all the other ones just the same way. I got the walnut done now. Usually when you cut wood it smells pretty good. Walnut doesn't. It kind of stinks. It's got some off smell to it. I have all the sides cut now, so the only thing I'll have to do eventually here is the little bottom piece, which will be made out of the Luan plywood, and then I'll cut a top out of the other board that comes with this. So we've got our aromatic cedar, wild black cherry, bur oak, red oak, pine, Norway maple, walnut, and birch. I was just out here looking, and I've got several routers, but I only have this one set up for doing the dovetail jig, and then you have to switch this out when you do, go from the tails to the pins. And I was looking at all my stuff for the routers, and I ended up having everything I needed, so now I have 2 routers set up, which will save a little bit of time. Well, I think I have everything set up right. I'm going to do the pine one first, of course, because I've got a lot of it milled. It's easy to run through the machine. If I screw this up, I can make another one pretty quick. So I'm going to mill the whole box on this one, make sure my pins and my tails, everything fit together good, and then if it does, it's getting late right now, I'll call it a night, and then tomorrow I'll come out here and then I'll just do like all of the tails and then all of the pins and then put the boxes together. I'm going to actually wait until tomorrow. I'm looking here at this, and you see that bit? See how it doesn't really center in that hole? That's going to totally screw up, because this is what guides it right here, and this pushes through. That will throw it off. So if something is not centered with this, I'm probably just going to have to use the other router, or else see if I've got a different plate that'll fit on here a little bit better. So I'll see you guys back out here tomorrow. Well, before I ran in, I decided to switch this out just to see if that's what it is, and you can see now it's perfectly right in the center. So anyway, I wish I had another one of these Porter cables. I should almost go and buy one. These work really good. And I don't know if it's because this is Porter cable and this is Porter cable, but everything works really good. I like the way that you spin this to get the depth. It works really nice for setting that. So anyway, tomorrow we'll get some more of this done. I'm back out here this morning. I got my truck running. I'm going to run in and look at a new router base plate or whatever that's called on there. And I'm also just going to look at the Porter cable routers and see what they've got. The snowstorm here is done. It looks like we got about 2 inches here. But if you go south just a little ways, 16 miles south of here, I was watching on the news, they got 14 inches of snow. So we really got lucky this time. I just got back from the store and I had to go to 2 different ones. They didn't have what I was looking for, a different plate for the other one. So they did have another Porter cable that was on sale. That was my easiest route. So I just bought the exact same thing. Now I can run 2 different routers, one for the tails, one for the pins, and it'll be a lot easier. Alright, so I've got the tails, both of them are done now, so now I'm going to switch this jig around. The first box I want to get completely done, make sure everything fits together right, then I can move on to doing it kind of more mass production like, by just doing all of the bigger ones first and then switching it around. These smaller boards here are 4 inches, and that's about as small as you can go in here. And you actually when you run this up, it helps if you put a board underneath here also, because otherwise when you tighten this down, it has a tendency to pull the board out because it's not hitting this whole flat surface. By putting this in there, it does seem to straighten it and help it out somewhat. Everything seems to fit good. The tail depth is a little bit too deep, which isn't a big deal because I've had that happen before. You just put it on the belt sander over there and it takes it right down. But I might, when I do the next ones, I might play around with that and try to adjust if the bit isn't quite as deep, it should be better. But other than that, that's a nice tight fit. It's just, you can see right there, they're just a little bit too long. Not too bad. The reason it was cutting the tails a little bit too deep is my fault. I set it with this one here, which is supposed to be for the half blind. This is the one I'm supposed to run it on. If you can see this, I don't know, but when I slide it against there, see it hits against that black stop. I need to shorten it up so it rides up on top. My fault. See if that fits together any better. Well, it fits pretty tight, but everything is the right length now, so that's pretty good. I'm getting there, slowly. Oh, I just got the last one done. Still have to do the bottoms, have to do the tops, there's routering to do. but at least the dovetailing part is finished. I finished cutting all the grooves in here. You saw I was doing that on the router table thing. I just ran a 1/4 inch bit just to make that little groove in there. The hardest part about doing that is you see how you have to stop short of the end? Otherwise you'll see it on the outside, and it's so hard. You have to go so slow and kind of plunge it down slow so it doesn't chip that little end out. And then I'm actually now cutting the pieces of plywood and fitting those in like that. I screwed this little jig here onto this bench and then took the square and made sure it was perfectly square in there. So then when I start to glue these, since there's a little bit of play in there, everything can move, but I can put the glue in, shove it into here and get it nice and square, and then clamp it. Once it's clamped, it's not going to go anywhere. I can move it away and do the next one. I have a lot of longer clamps, and I'm finding this year I'm doing smaller projects, not the bigger ones I'm used to. And I keep forgetting to buy some smaller clamps. It's kind of a pain to do something that's 4 inches wide with a clamp that's made for a 24-inch piece of wood. I have the aromatic cedar one clamped here and glued, as well as the red oak. So anyway, that's all I'm going to do tonight. It's after 7 o'clock. I have no idea what I'm even making for dinner yet. So time to head into the house. We'll come back, I don't know, tomorrow or the next day whenever I get a chance, and we'll glue up some more. Well, I just got home from work. I pulled those 2 boxes that I glued yesterday off the clamps, and I'm going to start gluing up the rest of them. My dad was out here earlier today, and he looks like he made Xander a little toolbox, because Xander was taking his little plastic toys and putting them in the barbecue cabinet that he had made for up north, and putting them all over when he's out here with me, so that's kind of cute. Like I said, I pulled these out of the clamps now. They're all ready to get sanded, and then eventually we'll make the top for them. But right now I'm just going to go through and get as many of these as I can glued up with the clamps that I have. Actually, if I just clamp them and wait for an hour, you can pull the clamps off of them, it'll be fine. So hopefully I'll get all of them glued up today. All of these boxes now have been glued up. These 2 are the ones that have been drying for a whole day now, but I'm just going to let them all dry, and then I can start sanding these down, start thinking about getting some stain on them. We'll see how they turn out. back out here tonight and I've just been sanding these boxes down. And you know, on this one, the pine box, you can see right here, remember the router bit was set wrong, so it was long. That would actually be a really neat look if you would have done it both ways. I just went ahead and set that deeper like that. It almost gives it like a log cabin type of a look. But that's not what I'm going for this time, so I'm going to take and sand those down and make it look just like the other ones. I have 6 of them that are sanded down to 120 anyway. I'll probably hit it a little bit with 220. But I think I kind of want to play around with doing one of the covers because I'm sick of sanding right now. So I think I'm going to go ahead and give that a try. Well, I'm going to run in for a little while now. It's about 7:30 at night. I don't know if I'll be back out tonight or if I'll come back out tomorrow. So my favorite one so far is definitely this bur oak one in the middle. This red oak one over here turned out pretty nice once that cover got on there. Everything kind of flows together. And that walnut one, that's pretty neat. It'll be nice to get some finish on that and see how that grain pulls out. One thing that kind of scares me with these boxes like this is I would have been much more comfortable if this would have been split down the middle and glued, because this is still, I mean, that's about a 4-inch wide piece of wood. It could still warp, so hopefully it won't, but that kind of scares me. Well, I've been out here today for quite a while. I got all the tops made now on all the boxes. Everything has been sanded, ready for stain and some finish, at least on the outside it is anyway. I find that, like I think I said before, that the hardest one was the bur oak here, but another hard one to work with was this Norway maple. It's the wood kind of has attitude, and it kind of chipped out right here when I was running the router through here. So I don't know, this stuff I don't think I would want to do a really big piece of furniture. I mean, you can see right here, you can see where it's kind of cracked. I don't know. It's a neat looking wood, but I think that if you did a lot with it, it could be a problem. Well, I think what I'm going to do is start with the walnut one and the aromatic cedar one, because all that's going to get is, I'm going to put polyurethane on it. Yeah, I like polyurethane. It gives a kind of a yellowish glow to it. Really brings out the grain in the wood nice. And I'm going to do satin this time. I just think that these, a little bit of a dull shine would be better than a high gloss. All the other ones here, we've got the red oak, the pine, the bur oak, Norway maple, birch, and this is white paper birch, and wild black cherry. All of those I'm going to stain, and I'm going to stain it with a fruit wood, I think. I'm just going to stain them all the same color. Then we can let that dry, and we'll go over that with some satin polyurethane also. All of them are stained now. And then of course we have these two over here that we put the polyurethane on. So I'll let this dry for a while. Come out and put some coats of polyurethane on these and some additional coats on these over here. Well, I just came out here and I got a coat of poly on all of the other boxes that did not have it yet. And now after they all dry, they'll all be in the same stage, so I can just sand them all and put another coat on, and I imagine I'll put, I don't know, between 3 and 5 coats on every one of these. I'll be back out here tomorrow. Alright, well it's the next morning. All this stuff is nice and dry now. Sand it a little bit between coats here, and we'll get another coat of polyurethane on there. Time for the second coat. I have the second coat on all of this now, and now with the second coat it dries real fast, or a lot faster than the first coat. By the time I'm done with the last one, this one is no longer tacky. So I think what I'm going to do is, on the inside, I'm not going to stain anything, but I do want to run a coat of the polyurethane in there just to seal everything. So I think I'm going to start doing that. One coat should probably be enough for the inside. There you go. I'm back out here to put another coat of poly on my boxes there. Got Xander out here. Okay everyone, well thanks a lot for watching. All 8 little dovetail boxes are all done. I am going to post a short video following this one, and we'll go through each box, and then I'm going to have everybody rate what kind of wood they liked best, and I don't know, any other questions I might have. So anyway, stay tuned for that. That'll be coming up soon, and I'll see you guys on the next video.